Ooh.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
It's Riding Side Saddle again, and Lisa.
And Tammy.
And Catherine.
I feel like you have to have an octave up. And Catherine.
And Catherine.
So we shared with you that we are on tour. Woo, Riding Saddle on tour. We took our ponies. We were saddled up. We headed up to Green Bay.
We took the recording studio to Green Bay.
We did.
And then Steve set up a really more comfortable recording studio for us.
It is. We have refreshments. We have like spectacular recording equipment. We have dear friends, and Catherine is here with us to continue our conversation about intuition. We've shared a few things in some previous episodes and had Catherine as our guest. So thank you again for being a part of this. It's incredibly important. But we have been talking a bit about intuition and how it is, it is in the suitcase for everyone, right? Like every single person on this planet
a tool in your tool belt,
has this in their suitcase. It's whether or not you actually unpacked it from your suitcase and put it in the drawers of the hotel room that we're in. I don't know. I'm making shit up now, but it is a gift that everybody has. And we've talked about kind of how to dive into that, to hear it, to receive it. If you're first learning a little bit about intuition, kind of really how to create the environment to sponsor intuition and messages from yourself that you received. We also talked about in a previous episode, like how do you know if it's intuition or being empathic as opposed to it being a reaction based on experiences that you've had in the past.
A trauma response.
Trauma, triggers, right? Things like that. I shared conversations that my husband and I have gotten into just with, is this really a gift that you have, or are you reacting to something that you've experienced in the past? So we've talked a lot about intuition in the full spectrum of what that might look like, and all the way through to triggers and trauma responses. This time, we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of going past those triggers, trauma responses, to be able to dive a little deeper in talking about being able to Catherine, you mentioned it in our last episode, kind of stop the recording on the tapes, right?
Yeah.
Re-listening to old tapes that you've heard over and over again, and now they're programmed into your mind. And kind of being able to,
they keep you stuck, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, my mom's she's passed away in 2001, and every now and then I'll be in the kitchen or whatever, and I'm hearing her in my head, and I'll have to be like, "Good Lord,
Mom!"
Right.
Oh my God, Mom!
I know how to cut an onion already.
Because hers was always get out of the kitchen. This is, get out of the kitchen, get out of the kitchen. And, and every now and then I get I annoyed with that, or there's anger with that, or there's hurt because I wasn't included. And every now and then that response comes up, and I'll have to be, I start to get anxious.
Agitated.
And agitated, and I get really upset. And then I have to realize that's old. She's not even been here since 2001. What are you doing?
I can be in the kitchen if I want to.
It's my kitchen.
I'm perpetuating this old
You are.
response, and I am choosing to stay stuck in that as long as I allow that to continue to have any effect on me at all. And we all have these.
Man, when I realized that, I was responsible for hurting myself over and over and over and over. I'll tell you what, I was having arguments with people from 20 years ago. I was replaying those situations.
Inside your head?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if they weren't arguments then, in my head, I was replaying it and saying things I wish I had said in the
Let
moment.
me tell you something.
Yeah, that. Exactly that.
Right.
But I am traumatizing myself over and over and over and over again through my own thoughts.
And that emotion, that
Oh,
trigger,
my gosh.
like it has as much damage the 800th time as
gosh.
it did the first time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
creating our own suffering.
That's right.
That's it. So that person may have said something that was really hurtful to me 20 years ago. Shame on them.
Mm-hmm.
But for 20 years, I have been hurting myself
On
by
repeat.
replaying that
Yeah.
tape that now has confirmed that I'm not good enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not deserving enough, that I'm not pretty enough, that I'm not enough.
Right.
I let that happen because I didn't know how to shut it off.
Right.
I didn't know how to be different. I didn't know how to think different. I didn't know how to let that be an experience that doesn't define who I am today.
That's a big one.
You
Yeah.
need to take that tape out of
Yeah.
the cassette player and pull the tape
Right.
throughout. Like a pencil can't even fix that.
No.
Like don't try to screw it
the
back in
scissors.
with
Reel
the
it
pencil.
back in. Right?
Scissors.
Get the
Snip, snip, snip.
scissors.
Get the scissors.
Rip that sucker out and shred it.
Oh,
Yeah.
shred it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Right. But, we all carry those with us and we
Yes.
all have those. It's just when we
Yes.
can take the time to learn what our triggers are and we realize what is actually going on here. And oftentimes in my relationships, I've had to say, I'm sorry. This is on me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
but I'm going to need a few minutes to try and figure this out.
Mhm.
And then I have to come back and say, that had nothing to do with you. It
Gosh.
had nothing to do with you.
Which is really difficult to do.
It is.
It has in my relationship with my husband, like at the beginning of our relationship, I honestly had no idea of the many triggers that I have. And oftentimes it was I just reacted. Like, you said this is how I feel, and I'm going to say or do this in response. And it hasn't been until probably the last couple of years where I'm like, okay, so I want to say or do this because this is the way you made me feel. And it's a full reaction, right? As opposed to hold the bus before you open your mouth, right? Let's think about why are you wanting to say or do what you're going to do? Like, why? And most of the time it has nothing to do with him. And I have had to have those very vulnerable moments where in the moment I'm like, listen, I'm about ready to react right now. My back physically is on fire because I'm so angry and I need to stop. And let's reconvene this after I had the time to think about it for a minute. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I realize oftentimes that it is a reaction as opposed to my deliberate action. And it is based off of a trigger.
It's exactly. And then we sit there in that and
it's uncomfortable. It's a horrible feeling.
uncomfortable for you,
Yes.
uncomfortable for him. And if we can just really be honest and be like, I don't know where this is coming from. I
Right.
can't tell you. I've had to say that. I really don't know where this is coming from.
But clearly it's a trigger for me.
And so I'm going to need a little time.
I need some time to figure it out. And that might be a few days.
Yeah.
And we've all
Not
had
like 5 minutes.
It
Right.
pulls from like the core of
doesn't
your
it?
being. It's just like everything is out on display, which is also uncomfortable.
But the more we practice it, I think the less it comes up and the less that we have to do that.
Absolutely.
When we can really own our own stuff and we can say, gosh, this is on me and I don't know where it's coming from, but I need a few minutes, or I can't, I'm shut down. I've
Yeah.
shut down and I don't know why. I'm going to need a little time.
yeah.
When we can really be that honest and we can say, hey, because we don't want to hurt our partners.
Right.
We don't want to hurt anybody
Right,
else.
right.
So when we can own that and we can get in that moment and that trigger, then we can kind of move past that and push out of that and really come from a heart-centered space and connect.
What's really interesting, I'm sorry, I know you have something to say. What's really interesting is as I have started to develop that skill to be able to say, I just need a fucking minute. Like, give me a minute because I got a whole bunch of stuff going on inside of me and I don't know where it's coming from. He has recently, within the last couple of weeks, said to me, you know, when you say that you need a minute and, you know, that's fair and I give you a minute, I realized that in that moment, I didn't know it, but I needed a minute too.
Nice.
Yeah. So we both, it's like, all right, ding, like, let's go to our corners, figure our shit out a little bit and come back in a different place, right? We might still have a conflict or an issue to work through, but maybe like my trauma response to that word or that look or that tone, maybe I can carve some of that stuff away and be able to be like, you know, that's my shit. Let's just put that aside and deal with the actual core issue that we have to deal with.
Right. And you wouldn't be as escalated.
Explosive feeling.
Explosive if you take those moments. And so I really applaud anyone who can, we've all been in that situation.
It's hard.
It is not easy. And it takes a lot of vulnerability for us to say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to need a minute.
I'm not in a good place right now.
Right.
Give me a minute.
And I find that 90% of the time it's me.
Yeah.
It's really not the situation. It's really, truly me.
So on the other side of that is when my husband and I first got together, and this is still really important to me, but I don't have to say it as often, you are not responsible for my feelings. Because he would say things like, I just want to make you happy. I just want to make you happy. I just want to make you, and he wouldn't, whatever feeling is, right? I just want to make you. And I would say, but that's not your job. Your job is not to make me happy. In fact, it's not even possible for you to make me happy. And you used a phrase, Lisa, just a few minutes ago. He made me feel, when he said this, it made me feel, he doesn't make you feel that.
Right.
You feel it.
Right. It's my own thing.
Right, right. So Josh cannot make me happy. Obviously, if, I need him to, put his socks in the hamper, and he never does it. He always lays them on the floor, and he doesn't, but I'm just, as an example. And that makes me angry. I'm angry because the socks aren't in the hamper, and now I have to clean them up. Could he put the socks in the hamper? Sure, right? Will that make me happy? I don't know if it makes me happy. I'm responsible for how I feel about that. I can choose not to be mad about it.
Right.
It's an irritant. I'm not going to fight about it, whatever, right? But he is not responsible for how I feel. Can he go out of his way to irritate the shit out of me so that I am angry? Sure, we all have the power to do that, right? And we all have the power to do nice things that then does make somebody's day, right? A little brighter, a little happier, a little, more pleasant. But it is not his responsibility to make me feel anything. That is totally on me. And we wouldn't get in arguments about it, but we kind of go round and round in a discussion about, but it is my job. I'm your partner. That is my job. It is my job to make sure that you are happy. You literally cannot do that.
Right.
That is not your job. Take that off your plate. Please take it off your plate. That is unfair to you, and you're taking away my power.
Right.
That is mine. And I'm not giving it to you. So don't try to take it. I don't even want you to have it. So I feel like getting to a place where you can accept you are responsible for how you feel. That tape I've been playing in my head for the last 20 years, that is on me. What somebody else said 20 years ago, that one time, that was on them.
Right.
But now I continue to hurt myself. I continue to make myself unhappy. I continue to make sure I'm stuck. I can also flip that around and make sure that I am happy.
Well, we choose how we show up every day.
Right.
And it's our choice if we're going to be happy or not. I mean, the sun could be shining and we could still be unhappy. It doesn't matter. We make that choice.
That's really true. And so there are situations in life, sometimes that just suck.
Yes.
A lot. I am hurt. I am sad. I am depressed. I lost somebody very close to me. Those are very real, raw emotions that humans experience. And I'm not trying to say you should gloss over that and decide today's the day I'm going to be happy. But you do have the ability And I'm not talking about in those extreme circumstances, because I don't think it's helpful when somebody says, well, you could just choose to not be sad today.
Right.
Well, no, you're sad. Be sad.
Right. Feel your
Feel your
feelings.
feelings, right?
Sure.
So I'm not trying to say you should gloss over that, because that brings up, we talked about this in an emotional management episode with Nikki. That's not a good thing either. That will present itself in other destructive ways.
Pussy ways.
Yes, it will explode. It will erupt and be disgusting.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wait till you
exactly.
hear that episode.
Yes,
Gross.
yes. But I still am responsible and in control of how I feel about things. And if I need to be sad right now, then I need to be sad. Does that mean I have to be sad every minute of every day for the rest of my life? Hell no.
And does that mean that you have to continue to bring the past with you?
That.
People don't realize that you could just like put that stuff down because it's so heavy.
It is so heavy.
You know, but we aren't even the same people we were back then.
No.
We're not even that is a reality that's gone. It's like being in a river. You can't touch, I mean, the water doesn't touch the same place ever the same anyway.
Twice, right.
So you're allowing it just to come with you and what?
For what? What are you getting out of that?
Triggering you.
Triggering your own trauma. Triggering your own trauma.
Right. And it's
Why
a decision.
are you being mean to yourself?
Well, that's it. It's a decision. And sometimes people don't know they're doing it.
No.
And so that's
I certainly didn't.
I didn't either. But once you're aware, once you're like, where did that come from?
Right.
And you start asking those really important questions like,
Yeah.
why am I feeling this way? Where did that come from? Oh my God. You know, I think I really don't like being in the kitchen because, you know, my mom always threw me out. Or, you know, she said I wasn't a good cook, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but that was how long ago?
And it was one person's perspective.
Right.
Right.
But
Who may
Which
have
really
been
was
coming
about
through,
herself.
Right. Who may have been coming through damaged and wounded
well,
to begin with.
of course,
Right.
because, you know,
It may have been her quiet place, her happy place, and having other people in it
Right.
meant she couldn't enjoy that time and space. This is how I center myself, and now you're all up in my grill, and I can't, my literal and physical grill, right? And not literal grill,
and
right?
I can't burn the shit out of these pork chops now.
Yes.
They're sitting here with me.
That, right? But it may have been her, you know, half an hour of peace
Right.
in the day, and I can't have you in my space.
Or it may have been her mother talking to
It could
her
have.
when she
For
was
sure.
young.
Sure.
It was interesting, Catherine, when we were preparing for this episode, one of the notes that you had taken, I love you for having notes because that is like a beat from my own heart.
There we are.
You had said, oftentimes we accept just a step above of what we've known as true love, never realizing the depth of what we could ultimately be loved if we allowed all of the old tapes and voices to be seen, challenged, and changed.
Yes.
And I think we're talking a bit about that.
We are.
Right, in the examples that we're offering. But I wanted just to place the concept out there, right? It's one thing to talk about examples, but essentially saying, I'm going to reframe it in different words. Essentially saying you are shorting yourself. You are absolutely shorting yourself of what you can have from a love perspective if you continue to replay those messages over and over to you
And believe them.
and believe them.
And
Because
believe them.
we are believing them. We're like a fish. We are hooked. You know, we've just got that hook in there and we're just
Yeah.
going down the stream with it. And we're choosing to believe all the things that
We've been told.
we grew up with.
Yeah.
And we were conditioned with, and we're actually agreeing to those things. So, you know, because if we're not changing them, we're agreeing to them.
Yeah.
And so we are actually agreeing to them and saying, yes, you're right. And saying, instead of saying, no, that's not who I am. I no longer choose to agree with this.
So I think that is key. I think what it also does is encourages us to find people and create situations that confirm that tape.
That belief.
Yes.
Whether it's a good belief or not.
I'm not lovable.
Right.
Right? I know there are people I know who I don't even think they're aware that that's the tape that they play over and over and over again, but I can see it. I see them very clearly. I can see that's the tape that you're listening to.
Life is hard.
Yes, literally from when you were born, you have been told that is the message that you have received over and over again. You are not lovable. And every time someone in your life comes even close to demonstrating that they love you, you freak out, you raise the bar again. They met that bar that you thought was too high to meet, and they met that bar. That proves to you that you are lovable. That freaks you out. You get angry and you raise it higher. And you raise it higher.
And then you
raise
say,
it
see,
higher.
I'm not lovable. You can't love me the way I need it.
When the person that you're raising that bar for fails, because eventually you can't meet the bar, because it's not even a real bar, it confirms, see, you're not lovable.
Yeah.
They can't love you because you're not lovable.
But who are you if you are lovable? Who are you then?
I don't know, because I've been told my whole life.
Right.
Right.
And so then I don't know who I am. If I
And
stop
that's very
these tapes.
uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's frightening.
Right.
It's
horrific.
paralyzing.
Yes.
So you continue that pattern. You let the tape continue to play. You continue the pattern of finding people to be mean to you to prove that you're not lovable.
It's interesting. I hear like 2 or 3 new episodes coming out of this topic all by itself. So
Girls' Weekend just got extended. Sorry, Steve.
So a conversation that Tammy and I had been having off recording has been around women in general, and whether, it's our generation or our mother's generation or our daughter's generation, around where in the fuck did we ever determine that how we have to show value, right? Whether it is, I'm going to be over responsible and I'm going to take care of all of things, and that shows my value and therefore you will love me. Or I'm going to be extraordinarily sexy and beautiful, and that shows my value and how you will and proves that you will love me. Like there are so many aspects to this that really comes back to that core listening to tapes, right? Like I am not lovable unless I do this and this and this.
Well, and all of us are in that quest of defining ourselves, and we all want to be accepted. But, I've gotten to the age, I've hit 55, and I really, and I've like done the tilt, and I'm just to the point now of I don't care if I'm accepted or not.
Yeah.
And so it's very freeing, but unfortunately for so many, I would have loved my young 25-year-old to know that you don't have to be accepted, that you can just be who you are, and you don't have to prove anything to anybody. You just have to do what's in your heart and what makes you happy.
You are enough just because you are.
Right.
Because you exist.
And that by itself makes you more powerful, right? And that's the other. So my mind was going one direction to say, oh my God, our women, us, our mothers, our daughters, their daughters, right? I'm at the age where it's now like our daughters' daughters, which is a little scary. Like it chokes up in my throat a little bit. But like how, oh God, I want to cry. How the fuck did we go so wrong to be able to continue that thought process? Sorry, it's the wine. That like you have to try harder and do more, and in order to even meet that like entry level of love. Right. So there's that. And we've gone really off the rails with it, right? Like so much off the rails, myself included. Like I'm an over-responsible person. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that everything works out well, and I'll handle all this, and I'll do all that so that you love me. is the recording,
to prove
right? And
I deserve.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that my husband has created that. I'm saying I created it.
Right.
Like
That's what
I
we were
listened
taught.
to those tapes.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we were taught.
That.
But that's what our mothers were taught.
That's what I'm saying.
And so it's been generational.
That's what I'm saying. And now our daughters and our daughters' daughters are doing the same thing, and it feels almost like to a bigger extreme.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that, and we can talk about that in an
Another.
upcoming episode. But the other part of this is, that's to the left. To the right is, if you have listened to these tapes for long enough, and you have a belief now based on the tapes that you were given and listened to and took in, you are shortchanging yourself as it relates to how powerful you are and what you can create for yourself, right? Let's move away from relationships, perhaps. That's a whole can of worms all by itself. But, maybe talk about money or career or fulfillment or and fill in the blank, right? Like, well, I really want this, but I can't have that. Like there's just no way that I can do that, or I'm not going to be able to like break that threshold. Like, the tapes that I've been playing to myself is, I really want that. It's really far out in the distance, but I can't have it.
Right.
We stay small and we keep ourselves small.
Yeah.
With those sorts of thoughts.
Yeah.
This is not, because you know how I love stories. I'm going to tell a little story about how I dreamed.
I love stories.
I dreamed, and not like in a sleep dream, but I was creating a list of what it would look like if I had my own pottery studio. What do I need? I'm going to do this. I'm going to get some equipment. I'm going to bring it in my house because this is what I want to do. Well, I need a wheel. I need some clay. I need a table. Well, I could probably ask. I think I have an uncle. I think I could ask him. He's got some table. I could probably buy a table from him. I could, and I started like in my head making this list and pricing things. And I thought, about $500. I need some clay. I need a kiln, but I don't know how to use a kiln. I don't have anywhere to put a kiln. I'm going to still have to, take my stuff somewhere else to fire it. And I can't have a kiln. But I think $500, $1,500. I think that was the number I'd said. $1,500. That's what I've got. All the things on my list, I think, equal $1,500. I could do this. But I'm not ready right now. My job is really busy, so I'm going to wait till, this was in the fall, I'm going to wait till the first of the year. Then I'm going to start looking for this equipment to buy and bring it in my house. So I did that. Tabled it. Every now and then I'd kind of think about it. Like, nope, it's not time. It's not time. It's not time. I had this mental list. It's not time to think about it. One night in January, I'm poking around on Facebook on a pottery group. It's like a buy-sell trade for pottery. And there's this whole studio for sale. A wheel, clay,
Go figure.
tools,
Coincidence.
not one table.
Coincidence.
Yeah, not one table, 2 tables. Not one kiln, 2 kilns.
I'll raise you one
One kiln,
and I'll give you 2.
2.
Wink.
Right.
Says the universe.
Right. And I thought, this looks like what I said I needed. I mean, I won't use the kiln because I don't know how to use a kiln, and to get someone to wire it, I don't know how to do that. But everything else is there, and it was for $1,500.
Oh, wow.
The number I said.
Manifest it.
Yes.
Yes.
So here's the rub. It's in Florida. I'm in Wisconsin. Well, that's great. That's really great for people who live in Florida. I can't go to Florida. I don't go to Florida. Why would I go? I'm not going to Florida. It's really unfortunate for me that I can't have things like that. I was totally keeping myself small. I said I wanted all this stuff. I made a list and I said, universe, bring it to me. And it did. It was literally at my fingertips. And I chewed on that for a couple of weeks. And then one day I'm doing dishes and I'm like, it hit me, like literally hit me. said I can't go to Florida?
Right.
Who said I can't have this? Who said I can't have a kiln? Who said, like, I'm capable of learning?
And
I'm
interestingly enough, the only person who had told you couldn't was
me.
you.
Right.
That was
Nobody
the answer
else
as
did.
I'm scrubbing pots and pans. That's where it came to was,
Right.
why are you holding yourself back, Tammy?
Nobody else
Literally,
said
nobody
it.
else. At this point, I'm living by myself. I don't have a spouse or a partner to answer to. I don't have kids I have to try to, figure out schedules. It was just me.
Yeah, vacation in Florida.
Exactly.
Holy crow.
So I messaged the person who had it for sale. It's still for sale. And she was very firm. The price is firm. This is not negotiable. It's not going piecemeal. You take it all or you take nothing. So I call her, or I message her, yep, it's still for sale. I said, listen, I'm in Wisconsin, so I'm going to need just a little bit of time. I am really interested. Please don't sell it out from under me, right? But I have to figure out some logistics and how I'm going to get there, pick this stuff up and get it back to Wisconsin. So I go still on my phone, right? This is how we do things. I Google flights from Milwaukee to Orlando. I got a flight for $26.
Wow.
Right. So then, because then my next no was, well, you have pottery money. You didn't have vacation money.
Flights. And,
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, for $26, I've got $26.
No kidding.
Right. Yeah. And
Two coffees.
Right.
I'll save that. Not getting
It's
two
just
coffees in
lunch
the week.
next week. Right. Yeah. So, but it was that sort of thing every time. I said no, and the universe went, well, okay, but it's right here.
Right.
Here it is.
But
If
it's a
you would
change.
dream big.
It's a change in your thinking.
It is. But that was my first, it wasn't my first time. I think it was the first time that I realized that this is what was happening.
Yeah.
I created a list. I thought I was dreaming big.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring a pottery studio into my house. Not
That's
the whole thing.
fantastic.
But not the whole thing, because I'm not big enough for the whole
Oh.
thing. And the universe went, yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Here's not just one kiln, but here's two. My son-in-law is an electrician.
Oh.
He wired it for me. And my friend's husband put the vent in so that it would be safe to use in my house. People showed up,
Mm-hmm. Of course.
right? Because that's how
the
it
universe-
works.
yeah,
That's how
it
it
is.
works. And it was my first realization. It was not the first time I manifested something. It was the first time I realized that I had manifested something. And it was also the first time I realized that I was dreaming small when I thought I was dreaming big.
Mm-hmm. But they were your thoughts that were driving.
That was it.
That was driving.
That was
your
it.
Lack of success.
Burn that
Right.
fucking tape. For
Right.
real.
Right.
Burn it.
Right.
Why can't I?
Why can't I have everything on my list and then some more? And that's what the universe said. I thought, this is what I need. This will be great. This would fill me up. And
I can make this work.
But I wasn't even thinking I could make this work. I really was thinking this would be great. It would fill me up. And the universe said it would, but here's a little more.
Yeah.
Because you deserve a little more. Because you can be big.
Right.
You don't have to be small. That's a fine dream. But let me give you a little extra. Because I love you that much.
Beautiful.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's one of my favorite stories.
Well, I've been writing, and I have paints, and I mean, poor Steve. I have so many canvases, but he's been gracious enough to bring into the house. But I haven't been able to make myself do it. I haven't been able to make myself paint. I haven't been able to make myself write, and I have realized recently that it's out of fear of judgment.
Yes.
And it's nobody else's judgment. It's not Steve's judgment. It's not anyone's judgment. It's my own judgment. It's my own inner critic that I have not been able to sit down and do this.
Yeah.
And where is this coming from? It's coming from those old beliefs,
Yes.
those old stories, that old crippity crap that we keep in there, and we just keep carrying it with us. And so the other day I did finally pull some paint out, and then I decided, Iris wants to live here. And so I now, have a plan. And I now have given myself permission to do that, which, I've always had permission. It's kind of the ruby slippers.
Right.
We've always had it's always been within.
It's been there. Yeah.
But we, that we live with those old tapes, those old stories.
Absolutely. In my family, my brother was the artistic one. I was told I couldn't sing.
Mm.
You can't draw. You're not creative. I told myself I didn't have an imagination. I was just, that wasn't for me.
Oh.
It was my brother's. So when I got older and realized none of that was true, he can be creative too, but there's room for me to be creative also.
Right.
And I can paint and I can, right? It's still challenging for me to break up my paints because that is still there, even though I know that's not true. Even though I have painted some beautiful things, it's still, I walk past the cupboard where those paints are kept every single day, multiple times a day. And it takes me oftentimes months before I just break them out. And I don't have to make a masterpiece every time. It's just paper.
Right. Wow. And I think that this is not just, it's something that we're dealing with. I think everyone deals with
so much.
Too.
You know, we all limit ourselves so much.
Yeah.
And we all keep ourselves small and we don't talk about it and we don't push through it. We just keep ourselves in that stuck place.
Right. Why do we tell ourselves no to things that actually bring us joy? Why do we say we can't do these things that fill us up? Whether it's because someone else told us years ago, or we're telling ourselves, it won't be right enough, it won't be perfect enough, it won't be good enough. Who are you to paint something? What a waste of time. What are you going to do with that?
Right.
Well, you're not going to be able to sell it, so why even bother? Why do we have to attach some sort of external value when the value really is?
It's intrinsic.
And how it makes you feel. I feel free. I feel creative. I feel in my best place when I've got a paintbrush and some watercolors in front of me. Why can't that just be enough?
Right.
Why do I have to then go to, well, it's just
Now
more
what?
shit laying around. Right. You need one more hobby like you need a hole in the head.
Right.
Right? Why do we do that to ourselves?
And
It's so destructive.
And that expands in so many ways, right? It doesn't
Absolutely.
even have to be like from a creation perspective. It can be, from a financial perspective. It can be from a career path or life path perspective. I suppose all
A
of those are
relationship
creation.
perspective,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I suppose all of those are creation because manifestation is creation. But like this touches every single part of our lives as a colleague, as a partner, as a parent, as a friend, like every single part this impacts. And those tapes like go through the volumes, right? Because there's parent volumes, there's friend volumes, there's
The old nuns.
Partner volumes. Yeah, old
nuns.
Ooh,
Yeah.
heaps.
Catholic grade school.
Oh, boy.
And there's Monsignor O'Connor. I mean,
tell me, sister, tell me.
I know. Right. Try being the daughter of the divorcee. I mean, there's just all those. There's all of
So
those
many.
tapes, and we've all had them.
And I think the first step in that would be to recognize it,
Yes.
right? You don't even have to change it, but just be like, oh, is that my true belief?
Are you saying be an observer?
Observe it,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Like Tammy, observe it.
Observe it.
To be able to say, all right, I see what's going on now. I see what happened. I see where I'm at. And is this actually coming from me? Or is this my belief? Do I want to, or do I want to feel this way? Or do I feel like I have to feel this way? Right? Or I should feel this way.
Ooh, not a should.
Well, but that's
I
what I'm
don't like
saying.
that word. I know.
But that's what I'm saying.
There's no shitting on each other.
That's
Right.
it. But yes, and I'm agreeing with you. But that word should. Ooh, man, that's a hot button for me.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we get stuck in the should.
That's what I'm saying. Is it a tape playing? So because of the tape, I should do this, or this is the way it's going
It's
to be.
so damaging, that word.
Or is it actually me? and not the should and not
Right.
the tape.
Right.
But I don't know me. I've never been me.
Ooh,
And so a
ooh.
lot of times when I start coaching with someone, I call it rebuilding the foundation. And I have them go through and be like, if a thought comes up of, I'd really like to paint, or I really want this, but I always say, who's saying that?
Who's saying but?
Yeah.
Who's saying
Yeah.
that? Whose words are those?
Ugh.
And if it's not your own words, throw it out.
That's what I'm. That's
Just
what I'm trying
throw
to
it
say.
out. And then if that's not yours, and it once you start this process and you start going through your whole life of, my work, who says I should be at this job? Who says I should be in this relationship? Who says I should? And if it's not you that's driving the bus, then those people need to get off your bus.
They did, yes. But what if it is you?
Well, then if it is you, do you agree with it?
No.
Okay, then
No.
you change it. So
Okay.
then you get an action
Then
plan.
you have the power to change
And
it.
I can change
Ew.
anything. And so, it's really identifying, is it you? And then it's just, and if it is you and you don't want that result, then deciding, what is my action
Differently.
plan?
I choose this
I
today.
choose not to do this
Today
anymore.
I choose, right? You have the ability to make that change.
Right.
Today I choose this.
And everyone's always known me to be this, this, and this.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't have to stay that person anymore. I don't have to be, the medical practice manager that I was. I can now not be that and be fine without it. And I choose something different now.
Yeah.
And even if it is, I don't know what I'm choosing next, but I'm not gonna choose that.
I know what I don't want.
Right.
I don't know what I want, but I do know what I don't want.
So you can start
Yeah.
at least getting some of
Start
those off.
weeding things out.
Yeah.
When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want.
You get there.
Right?
At
You
least.
get there.
Mhm.
You
Right.
start the journey.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Phew. We had a little bit earlier, Lisa, you were reading one of Catherine's bullet points, and it was basically that you're not allowing the universe to love you
Mhm.
in its full capacity. And I think that, and you were like, that can mean all sorts of things, right? Whether it is a career path or financial or relationships or whatever. I feel like for really most of my adult life, and it was not a conscious tape. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky for me. It was not a conscious tape of you don't deserve financial security. But I had never had financial security growing up. So I took that with me when I became an adult and moved out, and I continued to structure my life so I didn't have any financial security. The more money I made, the more money I spent, so I never had financial security. I made sure I was not going to be financially stable and secure because that's what I knew. And I didn't even realize I was doing it.
Right.
I knew I was broke. I knew I was in debt. I didn't know how I got there. I mean, I did, right? I knew my spending habits were causing that, but I didn't know why I was still there. Why am I still stuck here? I just got a big raise and I had a plan. I came up with a financial plan on how I'm going to fix this, but I made sure that I never fixed it.
Self-sabotage.
That.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you shut that tape off? First of all, it's even realizing it is part of your
Observing
tape. Observing. And then figuring out how to turn it off and do it different. I deserve financial security.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the universe, we're huge. We are great manifestors. So a lot of times when I work with clients, I have them do an east-west ceremony where they go out to the east and I have them talk about, let's just say a partner. I want a partner to come into my life that matches my vibration, who comes to me and who kisses me like I'm magic, who respects me, who understands my heart, who understands my soul. I want whatever that is. And you can do that with your job or whatever, but get really specific as to the things that you want.
Wow.
And, this is what I want. And then that's in the first thing in the morning when the sun comes up. And then what you can do in the evening is turn to the west, which is all about water, letting go.
Oh.
And you can say to the west, Help me to let go of anything conscious and subconscious I no longer need in my life. Help me to release anything that is hurting me that that I know of or I don't know of. And you can do this, you can do this ceremony. It takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the morning and in the evening, but you can do this. But
it's being more conscious. So you're taking the observing
right.
and making an action plan.
And it changes the tape.
And it changes the tape. So not only are you standing, I'm all about Mother Earth. Yeah. Not only are you standing outside with your shoes off, usually, it's Wisconsin, so
we don't do that in the winter.
I have done it in the winter.
I don't like frostbite.
But I have done it. But I usually
we'll make that 3-minute ceremony 30 seconds. Yeah. I'm going to talk really fast.
Really fast. But it's and I usually like to do it for a month. And here's why. Because when we connect with the earth and we connect with our intentions and we connect with the universe and we put out what it is we want, we get back a new reality. That changes.
Ooh, that feels really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
My eyes
yummy.
are closed, like I can see it.
Right?
And so you'll see me. All my neighbors that, when I had an old farmhouse and had this medicine wheel in my yard, and I'd stand with my arms outstretched to the sun. And I would just be like calling it in. Please help me, get out of my own way. And this is what I wanted to manifest. And I wanted to manifest a life that I was comfortable in. I didn't grow up really knowing what love was, because the love that was given to me was not true. It was not a true love. It was a love that was, that was manipulated, that had you had to have conditions on all of it. And so I really didn't know what true love was, but I was here trying to manifest love. So I had to break it down into what I wanted it to feel like.
What does that mean to you? Right.
Okay. Someone who hears me, someone who sees me, who appreciates me, who will love me as fiercely as I will love them, who is caring and kind, do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And this is what I started putting out in that East-West ceremony, asking the universe for. And not only, I'm putting it out in the universe. Yes, it's important because of manifestation.
Yeah.
Because the universe, it will bring to you whatever you're putting out. So if it's negative, you get negative.
You get more of that.
If you put it out positive, you get more of that. But it also was changing. It was making me get in the driver's seat and say, what is it I want? Because nobody had asked me for so long that I couldn't have told you what I wanted.
Ugh.
I know. I didn't know. It's kind of like,
makes my chest heavy.
It's kind of like knowing your feelings. We've pushed them down for so long. I wouldn't have known what my feelings were.
Yes.
Because I had not felt like I had been appreciated for so long. I didn't even know what are the feelings that are in there, because I was afraid if you unleashed that, it might really get ugly, and that's not who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But I had to get in there and look at them, and then I had to ask, what is it I want?
Yeah. And some of those things, to your point, right? It's vulnerable. It's scary. You don't want to feel like it is out of control. So honestly, sometimes maybe it's baby steps, right? Maybe it's taking 5 minutes on a piece of paper and writing down, I don't know, what the fuck do I want? Or maybe it's, what don't I want, right? Because sometimes, to our point earlier, you're clear about what you don't want. I don't know what I want, but I sure the fuck don't want this, right? So let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So it isn't, again, so that it is available to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing, right?
It doesn't.
You don't have to stand and face the east on the first day.
It doesn't have
in
to
January.
be so formal.
You can spend the time to say, okay, well, I didn't feel comfortable enough to unleash all of this because it might get ugly. So let's unleash one part, right?
Step by step.
Yeah.
Or create your dream, even if you're still thinking small. It's not like you can't create a wish list,
right?
Because you don't know how to make a giant wish list,
right?
When I wished for my pottery, when I made that list, I was having a cup of coffee before work, sitting on my balcony.
And it made you feel really good.
It did.
Like you remember that moment.
Absolutely,
like crystal clear.
I also remember the moment that I created a list of the qualities I need in a partner. I was brushing my teeth. I have an electric toothbrush. It is a 2-minute timer. In 2 minutes while brushing my teeth, and I only did it once. I didn't do it for 30 days. It was one time. These are the qualities that I need in a partner. Brush my teeth, brush my teeth. That was it.
Yeah.
At the end
You're
of that,
so powerful.
at the end of the,
We all are.
we all
Yeah.
are.
We all
But,
are.
that's my point,
That's what
right?
I mean.
So
yeah.
I love the ceremony idea. I feel like that's
Yeah.
very, very intentional and thoughtful, and it is focusing on things that you need and want twice a day. I think that's spectacular.
Me too.
It's a rewiring.
Yes.
It is, but if you're not all the way there yet,
Mhm.
that can feel intimidating.
Sure.
You brush your teeth every day.
Hopefully.
While
yeah.
you're brushing, hopefully, while you're brushing your teeth, you could make a list.
Right.
And it might only be enough for you to fill 2 minutes of thought. And it's not like thought. It is,
Right.
well, I need this one thing. Okay, well, what else do I want? 10 seconds. Oh, I need this.
Well, and that
because
would be nice.
because you're starting to dig down,
Right.
and that's hard to do.
right.
So it doesn't have to be like a long journal entry or a ceremony where people can see you that maybe that feels not comfortable to you. It can be something really simple and private
Mhm.
while you're having a cup of coffee, while you're brushing your teeth. It's a start.
Right. And it's intentional.
That.
It's intentional. And that's what the ceremony is always,
Yes.
just intentional.
Yep.
And it's intention driven.
That's the main
Yes.
point.
And it can be done in your home.
Right.
It can be done for a day. You're exactly right.
Yep.
But it's the intention of
is.
I want to rewire
Right.
my future.
And I can.
Turn this damn tape off.
Right.
Yes.
I'm recording a new one.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
Mom, get out of the kitchen.
I'm not getting out. You get out.
This is my kitchen.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
Ah,
Right.
So good.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
thanks for having me.
Thanks, Catherine.
Oh.
And thanks, Mind Garden Media. Thanks,
Thanks, Todd.
as always, for being our, so many things, confidant and steadfast and just advisor, producer.
Funny as fuck cousin.
Wow. Yes.
He's funny.
Cousin.
Thanks,
He's
Todd.
so
He is
funny.
so funny.
You should meet him someday. You'd love
Yeah,
him.
he is pretty terrific. Don't let that go to your head, Todd. And also, thank you to our listeners. Thank you for following along. Thank you for sharing, for commenting and liking. And whether you're telling us in our personal lives, face to face, or in a text message or a comment on social media, we absolutely love having that connection.
Absolutely. If you have ideas of things that we should talk about, and please let me just say that, like, for every episode that we do, we create 7 more ideas in our minds. But so we aren't lacking of ideas. But if you have something that you really like connect with, or things that it sends you off on a different path because of an idea it's sponsored for you, share it with us.
Yeah,
Because
we're
if-
open to
if
to
you're-
looking at other things.
If you're
for sure.
if you're thinking about it, so are other people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the point, right? Let's bring some of this shit out into the light and talk about it.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, this is a wrap then.
All right, love you all.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.